You ever want to chin anybody in eboys?
Every day.
All right, so we've got other
had a
groups.
prick in my hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, your viewers, welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. I hope you're having a good day because I certainly am. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Willne and James Marriott because recently they went on the Fellas podcast, hosted by Cal Freezy and the Burnt Chip. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into today's sloppig, please consider leave a like, subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. It really helps out the channel and I'd very much appreciate it, especially if you enjoyed today's video. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand. Like I was saying, recently Willne and James Marriott both together went on the Fellas podcast, and a pretty interesting question got asked on said podcast. This has something to do with the group channel the eboys. Now if you're not familiar with the eboys, this was a group channel between Willne, James Marriott, Imallexx and Imallexx.
I'm devastated, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really upset with the fact that, you know, there won't ever really be an eboys video ever again. We're still going to be making stuff. We're still going to be friends. And you know what? We'll probably end up doing more stuff down the line now that this has moved on and everybody can kind of do their own thing.
Moving on. Even without the now obvious, of course, Gollum-shaped elephant in the room in the conversation when the eboys gets brought up, it was always going to be a pretty touchy subject because it was always surrounded in a plethora of drama and conversation. So I think it's incredibly interesting to take a look at how somebody like Willne and James Marriott respond to a question about the eboys. Now, of course, with the whole Imallexx controversy and how they actually navigate that. Because a lot of the UK YouTube scene, when Imallexx gets brought up, absolutely fucking shit themselves. When the situation all came out last year, lots of these people like Willne and Imallexx did make statements on the situation. And for a lot of people who did make statements, I'm not expecting them to say anything more on the situation. I don't know why they would. But I do find it interesting when people like Willne, James Marriott, or whoever else do get asked a question about the eboys or something involving Imallexx and to see their response to it, because ultimately they avoid it like the bubonic plague. I mean, a large majority of the UK YouTube scene did that with all of Imallexx's previous controversies, so there's no difference really there.
Honestly, I would never do that. That isn't... Stop scrolling down. My scroll wheel's broken. Whoa, getting dangerous here. We're chilling. That was close. Cal Freezy almost. Cal, this is a public send. Why,
So with all that bearing in mind, let's go back to the Fellas podcast and let's see how Willne and James Marriott navigate a question about the eboys.
anyways, let's talk about the eboys, man.
Oh, shit. Bring him back. Bring him back.
Nah, we want to, actually, it's more YouTube groups because obviously we've just had a new one launch.
Boys.
Yes. You were not part of. You were part of eboys. You
I
were
was
not.
part of the
You
eboys.
got a free ticket out
I was
there.
not part of the eboys.
Take that shit and run.
No, I was.
I think there is very clearly a nervous undertone to the conversation here about the eboys. James Marriott looks incredibly uncomfortable as the topic is being brought up. Like I said previously, I'm not expecting these people to launch into a full conversation and dialogue about the whole Imallexx situation that came out last year. So let's be honest here, it'd be an unfair sentiment to carry to expect these people to just openly speak about this situation and have a full dialogue and conversation about it. That's incredibly unfair and not realistic whatsoever. But I don't think what helps them when they are speaking about Imallexx or something to do with Imallexx gets brought up, they go all silent, nervous, kind of have this nervous giggle and just move on. Just be much better not to treat Imallexx like Voldemort and just say his name and then just move on.
How come, my question was, how come you don't think there's more YouTube groups than there are?
I think it's very tough. It doesn't just depend on how you work together on screen. It's how you work together off screen as the be all and end all. If everyone's aligned and pulling and yeah, I think it needs to really line up. I think it's a very tough thing.
You kind of need like someone away from you to manage it. That's kind of the way it felt, at least for me. Because I think when you're trying to balance it between you, it can kind of feel like one of you's working harder than another, and it can kind of create like an unusual chemistry on screen as well.
I'm more so playing that clip for context for the upcoming clip that we are about to speak about in a bit more depth and detail, but I do think it's interesting to hear from Willne and James Marriott about, you know, the hardships of running a group channel.
Yeah, surely they like to smack each other up sometimes.
Defo. Did you ever want to chin anybody in eboys?
Every day.
How Freezy and Chip here obviously know what they're doing. They are giggling, they are acting kind of nervous when asking the question, and they're obviously trying to get a clip here. I think it's very apparent. They know what they're doing, it's very obvious. I mean, the question itself puts Willne and James Marriott in an interesting position to how to respond, and I do find how they respond pretty interesting here.
All right, so we've got other
had a
groups.
brick in my hand. No.
James Marriott just looks incredibly nervous and doesn't really know what to do with himself here, and I find Willne's response really interesting. I'm gonna play it again. Well, why not?
All right, so we've got other
had a
groups.
brick in my hand. No.
Look, either that's just a coincidence and he's just simply saying that and it's just incredibly unfortunate to match up the situation, or he's making a direct dig at Imallexx there.
Wait, so where did you two? When was the first time you met?
Memulus's flat.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, We played
Nobody
FIFA.
else lived in that flat either.
Okay.
Believe it or not, of course, this is not the first time that Imallexx or the eboys has been brought up in a podcast setting like this, and I recently found a few clips that I also want to share about the topic because I found it incredibly interesting. I do find it incredibly interesting how the UK YouTube scene especially has responded to the situation.
So that was your favourite moment together, guys. What would you say is your least
Oh,
favourite?
I've got millions, mate. I've got absolutely millions.
Can I ask, how
Some
long
of them
have you
involve
two been
little-
working together?
7 years.
7 years, wow.
Has it always just been you two?
No, it hasn't, mate. It hasn't. No, if you there's a couple of other ones. Yeah.
Again, it's very much that nervous energy and trying to skirt around the question, which I don't blame people for being nervous when Imallexx gets brought up. I think that is a reasonable reaction to have. But I think it's just better to be honest and open about it rather than do this, because I think it ultimately draws more attention to this and who they're trying to talk about instead of just, you know, saying his name.
At a certain time. Well, there's loads of other,
Yeah.
commentary YouTubers we worked with.
I'd say my worst moment was one time I applied to work for Will and he aired me.
See, there's this very awkward tone here, and, you know, there's this bit where Willne is giggling, and it's very clear that George Clarke is giggling, and I think they're both looking at each other, because, of course, George Clarke also lived with Imallexx.
It said you gained traction with commentary on cringe, memes, and internet culture.
I would say that checks out.
Yeah,
That's
checks
pretty
out.
spot
I'm
on.
fine with
You're
that.
known for your Northern English accent,
Yeah.
square head memes, and collaborating with other YouTubers like Memulus and Imallexx.
Yeah, knew that was coming. Yeah.
That's what it spat out. So
It's true.
DeepSeek doesn't know about that yet.
Did you teach DeepSeek? Did you give him the law?
Is that how it
It
works?
might be a she. I don't know.
Is that how it works? Can you add things to it?
I think so. And store the
Yeah.
Do
yeah.
you still frequently collaborate with both them lads?
No, neither of them actually, but one for different reasons than the
I
other.
suppose people grow apart.
Yeah,
It happens at times.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And especially towards the end, another bit of an awkward and nervous interaction there. And again, I don't blame Willne for having this reaction. I'm not sitting here critiquing him for it. I just find it interesting. I think it's incredibly interesting to see how the UK YouTube scene has responded to the Alex situation. It's been a year since all of it was released publicly, so I think it's incredibly interesting to take a look back to see their responses and to see how people have kind of dealt with it since and how they've responded publicly since. But everybody watching, what's your thoughts on this? Please feel free to comment down below, and once you're done there, you might also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future Slop Meal content. But I've been your host Samuel, and I will catch you in the next YouTube video. Goodbye.